What if I told you that one small girl, barely old enough to understand the world, walked into a courtroom, clutching a baby, and left an entire room of adults in tears? What if I told you that her story would change the life of a powerful judge and inspire a whole town? This is not just a story, it's a lesson in courage, love, and the strength of the human spirit. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear will stay with you forever. Before we dive into this incredible story, let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. If you enjoy heartwarming and inspiring stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because tomorrow, we have another special story just for you. You won't believe what happened in this small town courtroom. A little girl, barely 10 years old, carrying a newborn baby, stood trembling before a stern judge. The air was heavy with judgment and disbelief. What happened next? It broke everyone's hearts. Stay with me as I take you through this gripping story of innocence, resilience, and a truth so powerful it left the entire courtroom in tears. Before we step into that cold courtroom, let's travel back to a time when Emily's life was full of warmth and laughter. Emily lived in a modest house with her mother, father, and younger sister Lily. Her baby brother Jack was not yet born. Their home was small but filled with love. Emily's mother, Margaret, had a gentle touch, her laugh like a soft melody that drifted through their home. Her father, Robert, was a hard-working man who would lift Emily onto his shoulders and march through the house, pretending to be a giant. Sundays were special. Pancakes for breakfast, picnics in the park, and bedtime stories under a patchwork quilt. Margaret would sing lullabies while Robert tucked them in. Emily felt safe, loved, like nothing could ever go wrong. But life can be cruel. And everything changed the day Margaret fell ill. It started as a simple cough. But weeks later, Margaret was bedridden. The laughter faded. The house grew quiet, heavy with worry. Emily watched her father change, his face lined with stress, his hands trembling as he held his wife's. One night, Margaret's breathing grew shallow. Emily clutched Lily's hand as their father wept beside the bed. Then, silence. Margaret was gone. Robert was never the same. Grief wrapped around him like a suffocating blanket. He tried, at first. He cooked their meals, packed their lunches. But his smiles were forced, his eyes vacant. Then, the drinking began. At first, it was a bottle hidden in the kitchen. Then, it became nightly. Robert stumbled home, his words slurred, his temper short. Emily grew up overnight. She fed Lily, cleaned the house, and shielded them from their father's unpredictable rage. Then Jack was born, a child from a fleeting relationship Robert had in his loneliness. Jack became Emily's everything, her reason to keep fighting. But Robert's drinking grew worse. He lost his job, bills piled up, the house decayed, like their family. And one night, the night that brought Emily to court, was the night she knew they had to escape. It was a chilly morning in Silverbrook, a town where everyone knew everyone. The wooden benches creaked under the weight of worried spectators. The cold air nipped at Emily's cheeks. She stood at the front of the room, her frail arms clutching an infant wrapped in a thin, tattered blanket. Her eyes, wide with fear and exhaustion, scanned the room as if searching for a friendly face, but all she found was judgment. The judge, a well-respected but stern man named Judge Harold Briggs, peered over his glasses. He was known for his no-nonsense attitude. He leaned forward and addressed the girl with a tone dripping in sarcasm. "Young lady, what business does a child like you have in my courtroom with a baby? Are you playing house?" The courtroom erupted into soft laughter. People shook their heads. The girl's cheeks flushed. She tightened her grip on the baby. But what she said next stunned the entire room. "This is my brother, Your Honor. I'm here because he needs help, and I have no one else." The room fell silent. The judge blinked, his sarcasm evaporating. You see, what no one knew, what no one could have imagined, was the horror this little girl had endured. 15 years later, Emily stood in that same courtroom, not as a frightened child but as a confident young woman. Now a social worker, she had dedicated her life to protecting children from the same horrors she endured. That day, she wasn't there for a case. She was there to visit someone special. Judge Harold Briggs, now retired, sat in his modest office. His hair grayer, his frame slower, but his eyes still kind. Emily knocked softly. "Come in." Emily stepped inside, holding Jack's hand, now a bright-eyed teenager. Lily was by her side, now a college student. "Judge Briggs, we wanted to thank you. You saved us. You gave us a future." Tears welled up in the judge's eyes. He hugged them like his own children. Because, in a way, they were. Sometimes, a single act of kindness can ripple through time, shaping lives in ways we may never fully see. Sometimes, a little girl carrying a baby into a courtroom can remind us all that hope is never lost. Thank you for listening to this emotional story. If it touched your heart, share it with someone. Let's spread the message of kindness and hope. And if you want to support children like Emily, consider donating to a local children's shelter or volunteering your time. Until next time, stay safe and take care.